You okay as well?
Yes.
Sounds good. So you're on the wrong side of the camera.
Rest. A place I hate.
You do that?
I'd rather be down there with it.
Yeah. But can you, I mean, can you, do you photograph well?
I have no idea. I hate being photographed as well.
So you avoid it?
Yeah. Well, I had to do some today. But I feel sorry for the photographer.
So do you feel, I mean, do you feel sorry for all of these people that you photograph?
No, they're used to it. They enjoy it. So that's different, you know, it's a different world.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning, because you were a jazz drummer and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
something went horribly wrong.
Well, no, I mean, I wanted to go to America. So I took a job with BOAC to be an air steward, where you flew for 14 hours to New York, had 3 days off, and flew back 14 hours, and then 3 days off in London. And I saw this as the way to be a two-town jazz drummer. But I never made it in the end, because they made me take a job in the photographic unit. And
They
slowly
made you take a job in the
Well, they said if I
photographic
took a job there, I'd stand a better chance of getting taken on as a steward. And then, you know, somebody taught me photography, and I had homework where I had to go down to the airport the weekends and photograph people. And I accidentally took a shot of a man who turned out to be the English foreign minister who'd fallen asleep amongst a load of African chieftains, and it made a really good picture. And a guy came up to me as a reporter and said, "I'd like to show this film to my editor." Gave him the film, rang up the guy at 5:30. He said, "I love your work," and everything else. And suddenly I had a job on the Sunday Dispatch, which led me to working at the airport for 3 months. And then I met another guy, and I teamed up with him, and he died in a plane crash, and I got offered his job. And the very first job I had, funnily enough, was to go and photograph a pop group. That's why they gave me the job, because they wanted a young kid to mix with all these pop groups. And they turned out to be the Beatles, and that was the start of my career.
But when did you know that you liked it? Because I mean,
No,
you
I
must
never
have.
did. I mean, I told the picture actor I didn't know what I was doing. He said, "Don't worry, I'll look after you," and he did. But I never knew what I was doing. It was just so interesting, going into all these different people's life every day. You know, I did them, then I did the Stones, and then I'll be doing Mary Quant and Gene Shrimpton and photographing David Bailey, and it was just a fascinating time, which we all thought. We used to meet in this club called the Adlib Club, which was a club in Leicester Square, and we used to talk about what job we were going to get when all this was over, because we were all convinced this thing would only last a couple of years, and we'd have to get a proper job, you know. I mean, Ringo wanted to run I always remember this, because his wife was a hairdresser, and he wanted to buy her a chain of salons, hair salons. But
So what about you? What would you have been?
well, I would have gone back to drumming, because I was a good drummer, but I mean, the jazz clubs were closing because rock and roll started, and you know, it wasn't too good a time, so I didn't really miss it at the time.
But I was thinking that, I mean, you just happened to be there, you just happened to take all of these photos, but in a way you changed photography because you did it, the portraits are not portraits anymore.
No.
So you must have had a thought with this.
Well, I've tried to think like a journalist. You know, I tried to tell a story in all my pictures. I wanted a picture to tell a story. So, you know, I suppose that was the good thing about working on a newspaper, because that's the type of pictures that they wanted. And I was the only one of the age of the Beatles and Stones and all that who could mix with them. So it was all very easy for me.
So has the camera just been a tool for you, living all these different lives for 50 years?
Yes.
So it's, in a way, it has just been in the way.
Yeah, it is. I hate cameras. It's true, I might take a picture with my mind. I mean, I just need the running camera to put it onto a roll of film, but I see a picture and that's what I try and capture. I don't, you know, the camera's an unnecessary evil as far as I'm concerned.
But I think that you also use it to hide.
Yeah, I do. That's the perfect truth.
Because you see all these people on pictures and you see that they really let you into their lives, because this is what's so special. That photo, the very famous photo of Frank Sinatra, that's a very private photo.
Yeah, it's the first time I saw it. Yeah. Well, you know, Ava Gardner, who I got to know, I worked on a film she was making, and she said I'd write a letter of introduction. And I was waiting for him to turn up on the set. He was on his way to, this was 12 o'clock, midday, in the Fontainebleau Hotel. And he came around the corner with his bodyguards, and I thought, my God, what have I let myself in for here? Because he was a huge man, great personality. Anyway, I handed him the letter, he read the letter, said, right, you're with me, and I was for the next 30 years off and on. And he was truly a great man, and he taught me that the most important thing I ever learned about photography was to be there and not be noticed.
Yeah. So who was most wasted?
Wasted?
Yeah.
What do you mean wasted?
Drunk. Drugs. So we saw that picture of David Bowie, right? With the dog?
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't react at all.
No, because the dog is like barking and jumping, and
he was zonked.
So
no, he wasn't out of it when we did the pictures. He's a very intelligent guy, actually, very bright guy, a fascinating guy to work with. Because every time I went to photograph him, he'd become someone else.
Yeah.
And he's a fascinating character.
He's also a watcher, actually, I think.
Yeah, he is.
A bystander.
Yeah, and he puts it all into his work.
Yeah. So you read up on the Queen, you understood that she was interested in horse racing, and you collected some jokes and told her.
Yes. I only need it for a flash of a second, that's all I need.
Yeah.
And I've got a shot. It's not bad, is it?
No, it's not. So did you ever get intimidated? I mean, photographing the Queen?
Actually, for 3 months I worried about it, and I walked in there, and you know, there's all these courtiers and people, there's hundreds of people around that disappear when you're doing the job. And I met her, and she immediately put me at ease. And I realised afterwards that she spends her life posing for paintings, photographs, this, that and the other. And she was the best model I've ever photographed. She was absolutely great, except her hair's a bit old-fashioned. She doesn't, I couldn't get her to change any of that. I mean, you just can't. You can't even mention it. But she, you know, still, it was
Don't
fun.
mention the hair.
No.
So who would you never, ever photograph? Who would you turn down and say, absolutely no way?
Nobody.
Nobody?
No, not that I can think of.
No. So do you still have like a holy grail? I know that you don't photograph that much anymore, but do you have anybody that, if that person called me, I would be there?
Well, I did do Pele. I went to do him on the beach in near where he lived. I did him like James Bond in a black suit with the World Cup and all that. That was fabulous. Because I always admired his playing, and it was a great honour to photograph him. And Nelson Mandela I did for a week.
You were his birthday present.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody gave you to
Well,
Nelson
his
Mandela.
organisation.
Yeah.
They wanted me to spend a week with him for his 90th birthday. And after that, I mean, you know, when he gave me a little waif from the car, and I nearly burst into tears because I realised that I'd been with a truly great man. I met everybody. Yeah, I mean, Clinton came, Oprah Winfrey, the whole world came to see him, all the prime ministers, and all the people who are in prison with him, they all came, and I thought, how's he going to talk to all these people? Because he's 90, you know. And he did. He had a different conversation for everybody. He was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man.
Finally, I just want to talk about this picture because this is an iconic picture. We all know it. Faye Dunaway, the day after the Oscars. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes, I set up this whole picture. I mean, I do like setting up situations, and I just asked her to be there at 6:30 in the morning. This has now become one of the famous Hollywood pictures of all time. It's sold for 180 grand, you know, in Elton John's Tiara, whatever it was, party. But the only thing wrong with that picture was I married her. That was the only thing mistake I made. That's the real story.
Of the picture? Because
no, this was when I first, I'd just known her then.
Yeah.
Little did I know what I was letting myself in for.
So did you know, oh well, let's get into that as well. But did you know when you arranged this picture, because you must have been thinking about exactly what you wanted.
No,
she
I knew
was not
what
the
I
only
needed.
one you called, right?
No, I did. I picked her out to win, and I said, if you win, you've got to do this picture. After, I was doing a layout for a magazine, and I needed this picture to be the big centre picture of the piece, and she did win. She had only been in bed 2 hours. I mean, how she got up, I have no idea. But she had that dazed look. I mean, when somebody wins the Oscar, they're all so happy that night. But the next day, the penny drops, you know, about how they're going to get, said they got $1 million, they're going to get 10 million a film, they get offered every script, and the whole world's their oyster. And I wanted to capture that moment. Not that shot, you know, that you always see in the newspapers or magazines, somebody holding it up. That's not what it's all about.
But this is actually, it's sort of threatening. It's like not the backside of fame, but the shadow of it.
Yeah,
coming.
well put, yes.
Yeah. So you got a call today as well, I heard.
Cool.
You got a call from somebody. You sold a picture. Is that right?
Who sold? No.
Did Keith Richards call?
Oh, right, yeah.
Right, she's like, what?
Right, I forgot him.
As you do.
After 60 years of friendship, it's some tribute. Anyway, yes.
And what did he buy?
That picture of him over there on the whatever he's doing. I forget what he's doing now. That was when I first met him. First time I met him. He's a great character, really great musician.
And he didn't have that picture before.
No. He wants to use it on a T-shirt or something. I know he wants to use it in a book. That's it. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for
All right,
coming.
thank you.
And thank you for all your beautiful pictures.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.